Today I'm going to show off 10 amazing budget Casios that even watch snobs will have them drooling from the palm of your hand. Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. So I've been buying budget Casios like there's no tomorrow, with always a couple of goals in mind. One, can I find fantastic value for money? And two, is it good looking enough that I'm gonna wear it for a while? So yes, for the past 12 months and beyond, I've been cultivating, it's a long word for me, 10 of the best Casios I think you should have in your life. They won't break the bank, and you know what? They're just fun, if anything else. And if you are a fan of Casio and you haven't subscribed to the Mad Watch Collector channel yet,
where the heck have you been?
So sit down, relax, and let me give you some absolute banging Casios. Are you awesome digital watch ready? Let's Cassie go! Right, before I give you the 10, I'm going to top and tail this show with a couple of absolute stunners that don't count in my 10, okay? First of all, and obviously, the F91W. If you're a Casio fan, you've definitely got at least one of these in your collection. For £10, you can have one of the most iconic Casios Casio makes. First came out in 1989, and this thing has not changed since, to its detriment sometimes, because the backlight is so bad I wouldn't even use it for Morse code, let alone to light up an LCD screen. It reminds me of being a kid. It's the ultimate beater, because if it breaks you can buy another one. It's starred in films, TV, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Get one, and don't forget to watch till the end for the other bonus Casio. You're going to want to watch it. Right, first category, sports. Every man and woman should have a sports beater in their life. A watch that looks cool, tough, and with the three that I've chosen, you're gonna love it. First up, the watch that pulled my heart away from the F91 as my favourite beating Casio, it's the W86. It's as if the F91 has been pulled into the garage and the guys at Pimp My Ride have given it a tune-up. The case is bigger, slightly more rounded. The pushers are bigger,
so it doesn't hurt your delicate fingers.
You've got a 90s green colour to it. Again, to me, looks sporty. For around £20, you can get a resin watch with the best resin strap. Again, looks sporty, ready for action, and its pièce de résistance, it's got a backlight that would make the F91 have a wet dream. Yes, I keep going on about this, but Casio seem to be reducing the amount of electroluminescent screens in their budget beaters. So this watch will not be around for much longer. We got an alarm, we got a stopwatch, and that's it. And if we're being totally honest, is that all you need?
No!
Shut up, you. Now, I don't own too many analog Casios, purely because when I shut my eyes and think of a Casio, it's got an LCD screen on it. But the brand make fantastic three-hand watches, and the MRW200H is one of the best for the money. I mean, look at this. This is a tactical beauty. Looks at least twice, maybe 3 times more expensive than it is. We've got a day-date complication. It's 100 meters water resistant. Even the bezel twists. It's friction-based, but still, in 2023, you can get this watch in so many different variations. My favourite is still this tactical sort of Luminox looking one. It just looks cool. So the last of the sporty choices is a watch I reviewed not long ago, the W-218H. The G-Shock, but not a G-Shock. Yeah, the F91W for the men and women that don't particularly have great eyeballs anymore. Beefy case with a big legible screen, big pushable buttons, and as you can see, I toughened this bad boy up with a set of bull bars made for the G-Shock 5600. With that now protecting the acrylic screen,
it's a tough old bird.
It's another budget resin watch with a fantastic strap, plenty of air venting, again the same functionality as the W86 and the F91, but the legibility is huge. Ironically says illuminator on the case, and we only have an LED amber light on the left, but for under £20, this watch is a must. The next category is icon. Filmy icons. Yes, Casios that have been immortalised on the silver screen that still look great now as they did 20 to 30 years ago back back in the day. And I can't do a category without this, my favourite Casio of all time, the CA53W, otherwise known as the calculator watch. Yes, I bang on about this watch all the time, for good reason. I'm a Back to the Future fan, and this watch was on the wrist of Marty McFly in Back to the Future 2. To me, it's the watch that embodies Casio. Established in 1946, Tadao Casio first made a name for himself with one of these, which enabled you to smoke all of the cigarette without burning your fingers. Weird, I know, but it was so successful and he made a lot of profit. Tadao and his brothers put that profit into making calculators. Now, my generation, I know Casio for the keyboards and the digital watches, and to have a calculator on a digital watch, even today in 2023, it's so cool. Now, I've got a few of these watches. I've even got a personalized one that Pura Customs made for me. And to top it off, recently, Casio have just released 3 new CA500s, one in gold, one in black sort of stainless steely look, and a silver one. But unfortunately, I got some bad news. After taking this watch out of the box, I was that excited, I bashed it against my desk. I was going to do a review of this watch, but I can't anymore because it's dented. But I want to show you because it emphasizes just how fragile the chrome plating is on this plastic resin case. Now, even though this is my favorite Casio, it has its flaws. There's no backlight, and definitely operating it is a bit fiddly because you've got to push those individual little buttons. But I love it. Amazing that you can still buy this icon for around £30. These new ones with the stainless steel case are around £60 to £64. That price will go down. It's only because it's new, but they're so cool. Super. Next up, another big Casio film icon, and it's a Casio that looks like no other. And I am talking about the DW290. Almost a G-Shock, having a DW before its name. This amazing transformer looking case Casio has 200 meters of water resistance, the biggest pushers in the game, an electroluminescent backlight, and feels substantial like a G-Shock. This watch was immortalized in Mission Impossible 1. You can still get this puppy for around £40, and I think this watch just embodies 90s, you know, big is better. I will always have one of these in my collection. In fact, I might get another one because the text on the case does wear off if you get a bit of sweat on it. Now, I could go on and on with film icons when it comes to Casio, but the last one is the A100. What an absolutely unusual looking Casio. So cool and retro. Now, before 1978, all Casios were housed in a stainless steel case. This all changed in 1978 with the reference F100, and it was the first fully plastic digital watch. Now Casio could mass produce like there was no tomorrow, and the reason why, they started shooting off reference after reference. Slightly easier to mold than stainless steel. It's a very unusual watch because all the buttons are on the front of the case, and the back of the case tells you what the buttons do. It has the same functionality as an F91. We've got an LED amber backlight again, which to be fair does a decent job because the screen is so tiny. But if you want an ultimate film icon, this is it. It was worn by Sigourney Weaver in the film Alien. In fact, she wore 2 of these together. Love the stainless steel bracelet on this thing, but this watch is awesome. Okay, the last section for me, I do love retro Casios. Retro cool. The next ones are just my favorite, pack a lot of value, and look quite different to any other Casio in their lineup. And I can't do an amazing budget banger show without the AE1200. For me, the best value Casio you can own. The only downfall, to some people the look might put you off, as it has more windows than the front of most people's houses. We've got a digital analog clock in the top left, an awesome retro world map on the right. The time screen looks like a blocked picture of a car that I used to draw when I was 3. It's highly legible, 100 meters of water resistance, big pushable buttons. This watch has a world time function, 5 alarms including a snooze, a countdown timer, a stopwatch, a quick flick to a different time. Oh, NYC, it's 5 in the morning. Bit early. Again, we've got an amber backlight that does suck a bit. I wish they do electroluminescent on all their Casios. This watch is the only one of the 10 that has a 10-year battery life. This is a Casio for all those people that think Casios are for kids. This is a beefed up case, packs a lot of kit, and for around £30, you can't do much better. Okay, a watch I reviewed last year. I absolutely love this, the AQ-800. This is the Annie Digi Beauty, the watch with a dial pattern that reminds me of the 90s Sega Mega Drive, playing Sonic the Hedgehog. The case shape is unusual, slopes down when you get to the LCD screen. The LCD screen does look very small. It's another recreation of a watch they made in the 80s. The analog time can be different to the digital time, which means we have a
Dual time.
but we've got all the goodies like the alarm and a stopwatch, chrome-plated plastic case, stainless steel bracelet. This watch is still a little bit pricey at £45. You can get different coloured dials now, but for anyone looking for an 80s inspired watch with an analog dial, you gotta look at the AQ800, surely.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Next up is a watch new to me and new to Casio, but when we look at the A120WE, it has the same functionality as the A100, but looks more like the vintage Casio I love. Amazingly, my wife actually likes this watch, as it reminds her of an old Walkman she used to own. She doesn't like many Casios, so that's a win-win for me. Big shout out to Phil at Tick Sweep YouTube channel. He sent this one in to me and made me aware of it, and I gotta say it's found a place in my top 10.
Hello.
Last but not least, the A158, the old workhorse. If the F91 was Tony Stark, the A158 is the Iron Man suit. This is still one of my favourite Casios I own and wear, largely because it does remind me of the F91, but it has the best budget bracelet you can buy. And I'm not sure why Casio don't use this H-link design more often, but it makes the watch so comfortable. But for £30, this is awesome. So there you go, 10 amazing watches I recommend to you for 2023. I can't do this show without giving you one more watch. And this one, it's slowly becoming my favourite Casio. I know the CA53W is my favourite, but the amount of times I've looked into the history of the G-Shock, it makes me love the original Square even more. And I am talking about the DW5600. I've talked to death about G-Shock and their history. I even mentioned it recently on Watchfinder, for God's sake. Sure, they love that. But for around £60 to £70, you can get a watch that took 2 years and 200 prototypes to make. The most indestructible watch on the planet. And if the F91W is your first watch into the world of Casio, the G-Shock certainly needs to be at the end of it. Remember, a Casio is a watch snob snuffer. The F91W is just as accurate as a Rolex Submariner. Remember that. And remember that back in the day when quartz first came into the world, they were more expensive than a Rolex Submariner. Let's get that off my chest. If you want a little bit more than my watch collector, click the join button right there. Yeah. If you want to see some merch, look down there. You can get t-shirts, everything, mugs. It's lovely. Also, if I've got you for a few more minutes, check this one out. Great Scott! It's fantastic. Go on, click it. Click it, come on. Click it, click it. I've got to go. Click it, come on. Click it!